Good afternoon. It is now 1:13. We're starting our meeting on Monday, March 9th, 2020 for the regular trustee meeting for the Beavercreek Township Trustees. Who would stand for the pledge, please? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have an agenda. Are there any corrections or additions?
Board, I have two. One is already printed on the agenda, but I need to add to the executive session to consider the employment and compensation of public employees. And under Community Development and Rest Department, after bi-weekly, I need to request the board for a special zoning trustee meeting. And that's all I have.
Hearing no other additions or corrections, I move for a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes. We have a general ledger report.
I move to make a motion to accept the general ledger report in the amount of $382,940.31 for the 2/26/20 payroll.
Second.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Make a motion to accept the payment listing report in the amount of $553.33 for warrants through March 5th, 2020.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes. Thank you very much. We have minutes for the February 24th, 2020 regular trustee meeting. Does anyone see any corrections or additions? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion.
I move to make a motion to accept the minutes from the February 24th, 2020 trustee meeting.
Second.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes. Are there any citizens requesting to speak? We will give you 3 minutes for each speaker. Seeing no citizens to speak, we have pre-scheduled speakers, Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Matt Lindsay. I'm on the staff at the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission. We are located at 10 North Ludlow Street in downtown Dayton, Ohio. Thank you for having me back. I had the pleasure of meeting with the township administrator and staff a couple 3 weeks ago, and it's gratifying that we got invited back to speak more about the sustainability toolkit. I would also like to introduce my very new coworker, Eliza Turco, as our sustainability planner, third week on staff at MVRPC, dealing with these sustainability issues across the region. So we're both excited to be here and able to talk to you today. Excuse me. So when I was in the 8th grade, I ended up getting a detention from my English teacher because I got in the habit of drawing and writing things and drawing, making doodles on my desk. So I was brought in the afternoon, and I had to first wash all of the desks, and then I had to write out in longhand the entire dictionary definition of the word clean. Now, if you think about all the adjective and verb forms of that word, you'll understand that that is no small task. All these years later now, it has come down to be one of my roles at Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission is to work with all of our member jurisdictions, including the township, on the word sustainability, which has as many possible meanings and connotations for people around the region. But what we hope with this sustainability toolkit is that we have provided something that helps clear through the clutter and make the concept of sustainability more of a bite-size endeavor for our member communities. So, about the toolkit. It was inspired by a similar product put out by Cuyahoga County many years ago, We thought it made a lot of sense to do the same kind of thing here in the Miami Valley. Cuyahoga County by itself has 59 separate political jurisdictions in it. So that's very much like the scale and scope of MVRPC. We have 74 member jurisdictions as well. So it has the right tone in terms of encouraging without trying to prescribe what should go on. The toolkit contains, what you'll find in the toolkit are feasible projects, policies, programs that are some of the best examples of programs that are have been implemented across the state or across the country, or even in some cases across our region right here in the Miami Valley, that are geared towards local government, that are geared towards the idea of protecting the environment, but also saving your bottom line for your community's budget. Every chapter within the toolkit itself is organized into 9 chapters covering a lot of topics from air to water, transportation, land use and development, solid waste, food and local foods, parks and open space, and energy. And each of the 9 chapters is organized the exact same way. There's an overview paragraph or 2 about the issues involved with that particular topic. And then there are lists, bulleted lists of suggestions regarding community outreach and education, the ways you can educate your own residents on these topics and engage with them on these topics. Internal operations, so we're talking about your own buildings, your own fleets of vehicles, and how you can improve the sustainability of those operations. Ordinances and policies that have been implemented or adopted across the state that address this topic in one way or another. And then opportunities for broader collaboration across the region or across the state. There are also lists of contacts and resources in every chapter, mostly local or within our region, that are local experts and resources on that topic of that chapter. So what you're going to find are these best sustainability practices, ranging from the simple to the complex, used all around this region of the state, and again, the regional online resources and contacts. So how you can get the toolkit, and I see the copy that I left behind at the staff meeting has been circulated, so you've got that, but you can also find it on our website. There's an online version. We have not done a print run of these for sustainability reasons, but also because as a living document, we'll be able to update the content of each chapter as we come across new ideas, as ideas are presented to us by our member jurisdictions, as we learn about new approaches that different communities are taking across the state. We'll be able to update the online version. So if you go onto our website and you look under environment, you'll see Sustainability Toolkit. Each of those 9 chapters has its own page. Each of those pages is organized the same way as the chapter. It's the same content with headings for those ordinances, for the internal operations, for the engagement with your residents, and the opportunities for broader collaboration. You can download each of the individual chapters. If one is of particular interest to you, you can download the entire 60-page report. If that's of interest to you, if you prefer to just read it on the screen. So all of those different options for getting to the toolkit are available, and it's all under our mvrpc.org/environment page. And then how we suggest you use the toolkit. Like I said, and as been told to me many times, sustainability is a huge topic. And I had a very good discussion with your senior staff, and it was communicated to me very clearly that one of the big issues around here is flooding and the river, the scenic river that runs through the township. So, and we've heard different things from different communities. Huber Heights is very interested in electric vehicle charging. Germantown is very interested in reactivating their farmers market. The city of Piqua talked to us about doing some solar canopies above some of their public parking lots. So every community's got a different idea, and that's exactly how we were hoping communities would use this. To think about what are the issues that are going on in your community right now, what are the issues that your residents are bringing to you, what are the pressing matters that you know in the back of your minds are something that this community needs to be addressed, or what are the initiatives you want to take in order to meet your own sustainability goals. And if there's a suggestion in here that helps you find a way to do that more sustainably, then that's great. So what we suggest is that you select 1 or 2 topics, make them bite-sized, keep it manageable, work with MVRPC staff, work with me, work with Aliza. Many of you may know the sorts of things that MVRPC is good at. We have GIS resources that we're happy to share. Meeting, convening, and facilitation. We can connect you with these experts. We're happy to, if you find a way that you think we can help you do a project more sustainably or do a new project in the sustainability realm, we'd like to talk with you about that and see how we can hopefully help you with that. And that's all I have to present today about the toolkit. I'm happy to take any questions or to, you have our contact information. We'd love to hear from you.
Any questions?
So is the toolkit a roadmap or is the toolkit a reference guide?
Well, what I like to say, thank you for that question. What I like to say is that it is not a recipe, it's a menu. You can choose from it whatever you find to be of use. If a particular issue is in your community has to do with, you're looking to make your buildings more energy efficient, there's things in here about retrofits and contacts for firms that are very good with retrofitting existing, particularly public buildings. If it's more about you want to encourage alternative transportation, including better access to the Green Cats transit system or bicycling throughout the township, that's in the transportation chapter. So it's meant to be a buffet. What is it what is of importance to the community right now, and what are the ways that we can help you with those?
Thank you.
Again,
Thank you.
thank you very much for your
Well,
time.
Matt, thank you for being here and representing MVRPC. You guys
welcome.
do a great job on your toolkit process. And Aliza, welcome to the community. Glad to see you aboard on staff. You were introduced on Thursday to us at the board meeting.
Oh,
but
that's right.
I want to appreciate that you're here and helping out, and hopefully we'll hear great things from you. Matt's done a great job at MVRPC and has produced some great documents. So thank you for the sustainability document, and hopefully we'll be able to use it quite productively.
Yep, we hope we hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you're welcome to stay for the next 4 hours. Or you can leave.
4 hours.
There's a lot of good resources in there, just looking through it.
Okay, any old business to be discussed? Any new business to be discussed? Greene County Sheriff's Office, our bi-weekly activity report.
Thank you, Board. On page 4 is the Sheriff's Office biweekly report. Are there any questions?
I had just one on the shots fired. Was there an incident, or was it a hunter, or was it someone doing target practice?
It was, we assume that that's what it was. Or forgive me, what was the, it doesn't have the address on that one.
It does not.
No.
There was legal shooting that was done, that we had 2. So the one was unfounded, don't know what it was, but that's not an uncommon thing to hear. Could even be fireworks. But there was legal shooting that was going on at the house on Dayton Xenia Road.
Okay.
I'm sorry, on Trayvine Road near Dayton Xenia. There was legal shooting that was going on, proper backstop outside in the township. They were shooting.
That was the only question I had.
I just see so much more activity, so appreciate all the work that you're doing.
We got some good folks assigned. We had good folks before, but we just got some good folks assigned, and the weather's breaking. People are getting a little bit more active. We're more active, so numbers will go up as a result of that as well.
Integration of new staff going okay as far as new folks coming on?
Everything except for a driving incident, but everything's been
Sure.
been outstanding. We've actually received and we documented with them. A couple of our new guys are already getting some social media praise. Their pictures were taken and of interactions that they had with some folks and their children. The badge and coloring book type thing. So we've had several of those that have happened, as a result of the new guys coming out too. They're very
Good.
engaged already in the community and a lot of positive feedback.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Board, just to add to that, there is a public meeting for their accreditation, both for the City of Beavercreek Police Department and the Sheriff's Office. Usually staff and I attend to give comments, but you're more than welcome to attend either one for the public portion to give comments, either to the Sheriff's Office process or to the City of Beavercreek process.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 25 of your packet is the biweekly report for HRs. Or any questions?
I had no questions.
No questions.
Thank you, Board. Next item under the Community Development and Risk Department, we do have several zoning commission appointments and one or two, I believe, of zoning appeals appointments. This is just housekeeping, reappointments, and adjusting people going from alternate to full members, and you'll see that with one of the reappointments we just appointed him 2 meetings ago. Now he goes from an alternate to a full meeting. You can do these as presented. There's no changes from what's in your packet. Staff's here to answer any questions. They attended the zoning commission meeting the other night. You could do them all as one and just
Okay.
You might do the BZA separate.
separate.
Do the
Okay.
BZA first and then do all as one, then zone commission. So there's no,
Or whatever order I got them in.
yeah, I think you have the BZA first.
Okay.
Easy was first.
Here's the BCA. Zoning Commission.
There's only one EDA.
Zoning.
You want to do that one?
Yeah, I make a motion to reappoint Leonard Hemrick to the full board, to full board member on the Board of Zoning Appeals, and to approve the resolution as presented.
Second?
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
I move to make a resolution to reappoint Jonathan Hung, Kristen Horton, and Robert Geist to full board member of the zoning commission as presented.
Second.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 36, is the biweekly report for the Community Development and Risk Department. Are there any questions?
Do we have a feel, update-wise, as far as single-family dwellings? I saw the note, but it'll be updated the next, but I'm just asking, do we have a feel for how many new ones we've received since February 5th? New permit applications.
Should have been updated. Was that updated recently with that?
Single-family.
Single-family
dwellings.
residential.
Single family, it shows, still shows 14 said through February
I
5th.
just received the link to that data,
Okay,
and I will be incorporating that data into the next bi-weekly report.
okay,
So I know it's later in the year than you're used to seeing the new data, but I wanted there to be new data this year since we have new taxes on the roll.
okay, I'm sorry, what I'm asking for is the number of permits that have been issued as far as single-family dwellings, so,
That should be,
is that through March 4th?
that should be through March,
So it's just the data that's
Yeah.
through February 5th, okay,
that should be current.
okay, seems low. Thank you.
Any other questions?
We do have just a little comment about Knox box.
From the risk side, bring a resolution to you next trustees meeting, because I literally picked this up on Friday, but, we have our residential Knox box loan program. Well, we didn't have one available for a resident. This has been quite a few months ago. She was on a list for a week or two. We didn't have one come in, so they went ahead and bought one. Well, unfortunately, she has passed away, and her daughter has decided to donate this to the department, and we're gonna put it in our pool of our residential Knox box loan program. So we'll have that as a resolution
Okay.
next week, so. And then you wanted to schedule the meeting?
And then, Board, next thing we have to do is schedule a special meeting on, for the Board of Township Trustees to consider some text amendments that came through. Mr. Amrine and Mr. McConnell attended the zoning commission meeting. They did pass through some recommendations to the board to consider. So I'll let Ed speak to those.
Yes, excuse me, on Thursday, the zoning commission met and approved by a 3-2 vote a resolution that would alter the text of our zoning resolution with regard to swimming pools and allowable locking mechanisms. It's similar to the resolution that was passed some months ago, about 2 years ago, was that right?
The 5-foot fence.
Something like that. It's very similar, and we described when the petitioners came before the zoning department and asked about this, we said, well, you have the right to petition for this text amendment yourselves. We're not gonna do it for you, we just did it. So, so this is a little different in that it's a petition by residents, supported by other residents and so forth. Once again, it was passed by the zoning commission, and we're ready to bring it forward to the Board of Trustees as a text amendment. The other agenda item that's ready for a meeting for a decision is new language with regard to the signs that you placed a moratorium on the enforcement of those
Temporary.
enforcement for zoning, for the small signs, temporary signs, yard sales, and so on and so forth. And so that language was approved by the zoning commission on Thursday. And so we may also have some unofficial business regarding some advice as we proceed with the highway district overlay, and maybe even the airport zoning, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. But so there may be some unofficial business as well. We're trying to use your time wisely when we request these special meetings. Our suggestion, your habit has been to schedule these special meetings on a Monday following your regular meetings. We will not have the report back from the county yet for one of these agenda items on the 23rd. We're therefore requesting that the special meeting be scheduled for April 13th, which is your first meeting in April. But of course, when you schedule the meeting is up to you. It's completely your choice, but
April 13th works for me.
Works for me.
Now, that would be in the evening, board, just to
Right.
let you know, because of all public meetings, we're doing, because we have to do a public notice for this meeting in regards for the text
Right.
amendments. So anytime in the evening, whatever's easier.
you
for
can make
guys.
it 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, whatever.
Anytime
I-
works for everybody.
I'm
It's fine with me.
flexible.
6:30.
6:30? 6, whatever you guys want.
What's best for are you
For-
anticipating residents showing up to that meeting?
I do anticipate some residents showing up for the
Maybe
meeting.
6:30.
Okay,
6:30?
6:30, April 13th. Thank you.
Thank you, board.
That's all I have.
Any-
Are we noticing, or are we just making a public notice, or are we actually identifying a certain radius of folks that we need to?
No, this would just be,
Just
this would be
in
a public
general,
notice,
just a
yeah.
public notice.
Yeah.
Just making sure if there's anyone in
It'll be in
particular
the
we need to
paper
invite.
and so forth, online and in the paper.
It'll be in the Dayton Daily News, and it'll be sent to, in the case of, well, let's see, neither one of them would require a mailing.
Yeah,
So it'll be on the website and
Okay.
Dayton Daily.
published in the Dayton Daily.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, board. Next, also on your agenda, we'll talk about it later, was the TAC agenda for the meeting. But if there's any questions on the TAC meeting, or we can ask them later. Next item is on page 44 of your packet is the biweekly report for IT. Are there any questions?
I had none.
I have none.
None.
Thank you, Board. Next item is a purchase request for roof repair at Station 61. Budget justification starts on page 47, also with a motion. We do have on the additional pages some pictures and areas that need to be fixed. Mr. Parks here to answer any questions.
Mr. Parks, I appreciate the pictures.
You can thank the contractor for that.
Okay.
It kind of makes it easier so that you understand and kind of gives us a visual of what needs to be repaired and where they're gonna do the repairs, so.
Easy. I'll make a motion to approve purchase request 10178 to A.H. Sturgill Roofing for repairs and general maintenance at Station 61 in the amount of $2,850 and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
Second?
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item is the biweekly report. Are there any questions?
I had just a question or something just to point out as far as you've got a note on there with the checking erosion control, but with rainy season coming upon us, assumedly very soon, in the new section that backs up to the Narrows, just to make sure we have erosion control set up there so that the parking lot and the trail system doesn't get washed out with brown water.
That's one of the things we check on, and when we find something, we pass it on to Greene County Soil and Water, since they work under the auspices of the Greene County Engineer's Office, which the section you're referring to there, we haven't accepted, it's still under county control, so.
Okay.
We kind of look for those things as we go through, so.
Sure. Okay.
How's the debris removal, tornado debris removal? Is that still
It has
ongoing?
been completed.
It's done.
Yes, we're waiting for the final invoice from the city of Beavercreek. I think our last invoice was less than $1,000 for the stuff we had at Environmental Services. And originally, our estimate was $300,000 for grinding, hauling, and disposal fees. We came in under $100,000, which I'm happy with.
I know you are. We are too.
Because that was an unbudgeted expense.
Mhm.
And since we're dealing with FEMA and all the stuff they require, hopefully you'll still be board members who will receive that money.
Sure.
We used to have a term, some customers paid net never. So
Yeah. Yeah. And we're to that point with some of the FEMA stuff now. For the stuff we did back in May and July, we've spent the last week and a half answering questions of, well, this date says the guy worked here, here, and here. Which piece of equipment was he on? That was a year ago. So trying to go back and piece all that together has been
Time consuming.
time-consuming and frustrating at times, but
Mhm.
I think at this point, we've answered all their questions
Wow.
to the best of our ability, so.
We're-
We
we're
are actually
having-
at the third level now, so.
Yeah, so we're having weekly meetings. We're hoping to get everything squared away in the next 2 meetings so that we can submit all our projects, which is essentially the reimbursement. So FEMA calls them projects. We can submit them. And then what will happen is once they're approved, it'll go through the state of Ohio. So we'll get the 75% from FEMA and then the 12.5% from Ohio EMA. And then so we'll get one check from Ohio EMA or the state of Ohio. So we're hoping to get all those in the next couple of months, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
In your report, we have one of our cruisers will be back March 16th, you're saying?
Yeah, it should have been out of the body shop last week or Friday. There was a little delay. Once we get it back from there, it has to go to striping and then it's back on the road, so.
And what about our fire engines, which we have them all? We still have
We still have
one out?
2 engines and a medic to go.
Okay.
It's trying to keep stuff on the road long enough to get that done. The injectors is one of the things we wanted to do before we sent a piece out long-term. We actually have those now. We're just waiting for a time to schedule it in. Over the weekend, we had one go down with a EGR cooler. Parts don't come in till tomorrow, so.
Just keep rotating.
It's just kind of a ongoing, and once we hit that point where we have a window, then we'll send one out and get it done.
Okay.
But we actually have received all of the funds and reimbursements from the insurance company.
Yay.
So we have that money now, so we're not fronting it.
Step
Which
at a
is-
time.
Yeah, which is kind of nice.
Mhm.
I think currently we have one insurance claim pending.
With regards back to tornado debris, so, and I think it's probably more of an issue in the city than in the township, but I was asked by one individual, what is a resident's process if their neighbor has not removed debris that's not in, if they have downed trees or stumps that were left that are not in the right of way? Is there a remedy for a neighbor to have?
We'll have to look that
To
up.
encourage a neighbor to,
Yeah, we'll have to look that up if we know of any addresses, pass them on. We have a couple things we can do in regards to.
they were just looking for who to contact, is
Right.
it county?
It's
Is
called,
it-
no,
is
you
it
call
us?
us.
Is it-
If it's in the township, call the Community Development and Risk Department.
Okay.
Yeah.
This, in this position, particular address is, clearly it's in the person's yard, it's just they have not, stumps are still exposed and they've not removed
Yeah,
them.
there was quite a few of those, especially
And it might just be they can't afford to, I understand.
in the Conservancy. A lot of those lots were very large lots, so they cleaned up everything out front.
Right.
So the back half of the lot, which was wooded, there's a lot of down trees and trees that are hanging, but they're definitely on private property,
Right.
outside of the right of way, so.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you, Board. Next item's on page 53 of your packet is a purchase request for the replacement of thermal imaging cameras. Budget justification starts on page 53 with a motion on page 54. Chief Anabas is here to answer any questions.
We missed you on Friday.
I missed you on Friday. I was somewhere north of Fort Wayne on the way to a hockey tournament, so
Hope it went
I
well.
appreciate you working with Nathan on that.
Good.
Hopefully he explained everything well.
Yes. Didn't we purchase 2 thermal imaging cameras last year?
Yes, we're in the process of replacing or upgrading all of them and making sure that the entire fleet is outfitted. So this is another replacement cycle where we're upgrading to the newer models. They're smaller, they're more lightweight, they're easier to hold in the hand, and then the way the information is displayed on the screen gives the crews a much faster reading of dangerous conditions and of the ability to look for victims in a smoke-filled environment. So it is part of an ongoing process.
So we have 2 from last year and then these 2?
Yes, and I believe we did 2 the year prior, if I remember
So
correctly.
We have 6 of them.
Yes, at
Will
this
have.
point. And then I think we have 2 on our reserve, 3 on our reserve engines.
And then the ones that we're not gonna be, these we won't be using anymore, they'll go into excess property?
I believe these 2 get stepped down, I think these are the 2 that get stepped down to the reserve engines out of that list. And then if there's 2 already on the reserve engines, those would be the old black and white ones, those would go to surplus.
Okay.
But I can't recall, I don't think that's the case because they didn't mark in the 15 points. There was a surplus, so I think these are filling,
Your notes in here, so these were gonna go to reserve.
Oh,
they
okay.
do, okay, thank you, that's,
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the purchase request 10495 to Finley Fire Equipment, Finley Fire Equipment?
Finley.
Finley, for the 2 thermal imaging cameras in the amount of $18,990, and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Mrs. Dean,
Yes.
Mr. Kretz,
Yes.
Ms. Wallace.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item's on page 55 is the bi-weekly report. Are there any questions for the chief?
I'm still working on getting the update for the opioid questions, Narcan administration, and heroin calls that we've been talking about. So that is in process.
Thank you.
Board, I just have one comment to pass on. I did receive an email from the auxiliary wanting to pass on their thank you to the Board of Township Trustees Last week, we had a structure fire while I was at the OCMA conference. We also had our annual live fire training at the Dayton Training Center. And the auxiliary was at the Dayton Training Center, assisting with the rehab with the firefighters at the training center. But with the second bus that we were purchased and outfitted that the board approved, they were able to break a crew loose and also have on-scene support for the victims and on-scene support for our firefighters. So the auxiliary was in 2 locations, one dealing with a training incident scenario and the other dealing with an actual incident. So they wanted me to pass it on and say thank you. So.
And I want to publicly thank the auxiliary for doing such a great job on both of those instances. Actually, I had printed that out and I was going to say the same thing. So thanks to our auxiliary. We couldn't do what we do without them.
It's an amazing resource to have them available in the community, so they're great people. And the time that they put in it just boggles the imagination. Some people are born with more hours in the day, I think, and they're good representatives.
They are. Thank you. Any other questions to the chief?
I have none.
No. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, board. That's all I have.
Okay, legal advisor, any comments?
Nothing at this time.
Our fiscal officer.
Yeah, so I wanted to update you. I am, I'm gonna take a step this week, and starting tomorrow, I'm gonna close the fiscal office as much as I can to limit the amount of time that they're dealing with emails and things like that. We need to process payroll still yet today, so once that's finished. But due to illness and turnover in the accounts payable position, for lack of a better word, we are not caught up, and we need to be. So I need to have Jan and Lori focused at getting the UAN caught up, getting things moving forward, and it's just kind of come to, I think Jan thought she had it under control until she was out sick. And she is still fighting that illness, and I don't want her to be back in the hospital or going through the things that she had to go through. But at the same time, I think that we really need to, I need to make a drastic step to give her the ability to focus on UAN. So I just wanted to update everyone. Payroll still at this point, I mean, it's a huge issue. We've added a ton of new people. There seems to be more and more payroll updates to do, and Jan is doing that as well as trying to do UAN, because we just have not been able to have anybody in that accounts payable position that stayed long enough to get trained to move forward. So it is critical. I did want to let you know. It's not that I'm not unaware. We've been working on it. We've been discussing it. We do have Krista coming in and giving some hours that she can. I have a fiscal officer from Greene County who is also willing to come in and give some hours or work a few hours. So I've reached out, trying to get the resources that we need to get caught up. So just want to let everybody know that we want to work that way. But if you're sending emails to Jan and she's not responding, it's not because she doesn't want to. It's just that she needs to focus to get us caught up before we can move ahead. So.
What do we do if we have someone come in for cemetery?
Obviously, bring that to Alex and or Lori. I mean, we're still willing to help. It's not that we're not. That's
No, just from an
yes.
operational flow standpoint.
I mean, Tim is probably the go-to person.
Okay, just so there's more so
Somebody
Jan
needs
knows
to.
who to direct that to, or whoever needs to.
Do you want to go directly to you, Tim? Well, it does need to come through us, but you need to be in the loop is my.
Because tomorrow morning, we're coming out of your office, we have somebody do some deeds and take some money. I am not taking that responsibility in my office.
Yep. No, that's fine.
Actually, before I came to this meeting, I went over and sold 2, maybe 4. I met with the family, and it's not my normal realm, but right now, we're helping out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're not going to not help people who need to have cemetery.
No, I understand more
But
just
yeah.
from an operational flow. And then Alex, how do we handle then if we have a payroll or employee issue as far as a deduct or a payroll issue? How are we handling that?
We have time till the next payroll process, till the pay period ends.
Okay. And then, do we have a feel, or do we have a number of how many past due invoices and past due accounts payable that we have at this point?
No, it's not, I don't have anything, hope isn't a question.
Only because comments have been made, and sometimes those can get overstated, sometimes they're understated, so I didn't know if we actually had, but I know we were in this situation once before, a year ago, or whenever it was. So I just, if it's to that magnitude, or if we're a couple weeks behind, I don't know.
No, I mean, I think that we are,
Because I've heard 60, 70, 90 days on some accounts, I don't know if that's true or not.
I wouldn't, yeah, I would say that is probably on, I know that we've reached out, I know we're trying to pay as many as we can, either through wire transfers, electronic transfers, so I think we're doing a much better job this time around, but I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. It needs to get, the year needs to get rolled, checks, and the budget needs to be put in, checks need to be cut. Yeah.
Are we on credit hold with any critical services?
Jan did not tell me. I have not been,
Just as far as oxygen or anything like that again?
right,
Okay.
so.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on to trustees, Miami Valley Regional Planning. We had our meeting last Thursday. I was elected to represent the townships for the executive board. Joanne Garcia was elected to represent the city of Beavercreek on the executive board. They hired 2 new staff members. The lady here, Aliza was, and then another person. So they're filling the roles. They have 2 more staff positions open still, a planner and somebody for the disaster recovery. They're moving along quite well, and there's a lot of projects in the wind. So that's my report for MVRPC. TAC?
The agenda was in your packet. If there's any questions, staff can answer the questions.
I had no questions. Regional planning and coordinating.
We actually had, from a township perspective, we had Nathaniel's Grove phase. The developer did a good presentation, and it passed approval from regional planning. The only other items on the agenda were projects outside of the township. One project in particular was the Landings project, and there was some debate back and forth as to the value, or I guess somewhat the value of a secondary emergency access. Mr. Grogan actually contributed to the meeting, stepped up, and explained what we have done in certain cases in Beavercreek Township, and that in fact what some members of that board were debating as a negative, we actually, I think between the 2 of us, we convinced them that it was actually a positive for Bellbrook to have Sugar Creek Township put an emergency access in to aid Bellbrook residents where they don't have a secondary access into a dead-end cul-de-sac development. So kudos to Mr. Grogan. So.
Thank you. Health Department.
I'll have my first meeting on the 17th of March.
School superintendent?
Had a meeting with the city manager, a monthly meeting, mostly talking about debris management and how far we're out. So good news, we heard it finished up last week. Talked about some timing on some levies for them, and kind of the levy cycle coming up for the city of Beavercreek and Beavercreek schools.
Thank you. Right, Pat? Restoration?
Alex, can you, on that, with regards to that, I know Mr. Cornell used to have a big illustration on his wall or whatever that he maintained. Can you circulate to at least this board an overlay of those, an updated overlay of those levy cycles, so that we can see, because it's an interesting dynamic when they all collide.
Yep. And that's the purpose of the 3 of us meeting, is to make sure that we're not putting a lot of things on the ballot. We're not putting schools, township and city, multiple levies from the city on the ballot. So, yeah, I'll get an update, and the update will include the new levies that passed as well.
But this November and next March, we anticipate anything from the township? There's nothing, correct?
We may have a renewal.
For next March?
Replacement maybe, or a renewal of an increase.
But those will be hot topic ballots. actually, November specifically. is
November
what we
will
wanna
be,
avoid.
yes,
Yeah.
November ballot this year will be, pretty interesting locally.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, Pat?
Nothing to report, just got our, approval of minutes. I am gonna share them with the Greene County, wastewater meetings as well.
Greene County Township Association meeting will be tomorrow night at 6:30, hosted by the Greene County Sanitary Engineer at Clifton Reserve Lodge.
Just the first.
So, investment oversight.
We are still, nothing new to report, so still waiting to schedule.
All right, thank you. We need a motion for executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session under Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22 G4, preparing for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment. And under Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22 G2, to consider the purchase of property for public purposes or for the sale of property at competitive bidding if premature disclosure of information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to a person whose personal private interest is adverse to the general public interest. And under Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22 G1, to consider the employment and compensation of public employees.
Second. Mr. Kratz.
Yes.
Mrs. Dean.
Yes.
Ms. Wallace.
Yes. We're gonna break for executive session. We'll come back and adjourn after we get out, where no decisions will be made. Coming out of executive session at 3:37. I need a motion.
Not to come out.
Motion to come out?
Yeah.
I make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Ms. Dean?
Yes.
Mr. Kratz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve a resolution to rehire Casey J. Phillips as a full-time lateral transfer into the road department as presented.
Second?
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mr. Kratz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
I make a motion to extend the unpaid leave of absence for Justin Davis to May 12th, 2020.
Second.
Yes.
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 Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mr. Kratz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.